I'm not quite sure what that is, but hello and welcome to this week in Umpiring. I am T-Mac. Gil is alongside. Gil, what was that?
That was the latest Craig Counsell ejection. Can you feel the love tonight?
Oh, the latest Craig Counsell ejection. Him and Joey Votto should get a room and see who's going to rocks, paper, scissors. We'll get to maybe some rocks, paper, scissors later on, but time to welcome, as always, we do every week, our sponsors, which are the OSIP Foundation. OSIP, where outstanding sportsmanship is paramount. They love to talk to you guys about your officiating problems that are causing anxiety, stress. Call them up, Officials Anonymous. Jack Furlong and the gang at OSIP will do their thing. Check them out, osipfoundation.org. That's OSIP foundation.org. We're also brought to you in part by Out West Officials and OutWestOfficials.com. Check them out on the World Wide Web, as we just mentioned, OutWestOfficials.com. They're a presenting sponsor of all the videos we do here at Close Call Sports, and they have plenty of really great giveaways on the old website to check out each and every week. We hope that you get your gear from them, and always use the promo code CCS free ship if you just happen to get one of those Gator masks for $7.99. CCS free ship. They ship anywhere in the 50 states for free for anything over $75, and the first in the industry to offer free shipping for over $75 as well. And here with the news of the week, with his microphone on, here's Gil Imber.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's we talked about the Josh Donaldson, Dan Bellino thing, and we don't have to get back into that psychoanalysis. But nonetheless, that was an entertaining sequence of baseball. I guess the lesson to be learned, Tim, at the end of the day is if you hit a home run, the best possible outcome with no one on base, maybe let it go.
Yeah, I was extremely disappointed. And as I've talked to a lot of people about, I don't like being in this headspace where we talk about negative people. Josh Donaldson did a really bad thing, and I don't really particularly understand where our society's at, that you don't have accountability for actions. But, I was amazed at the vitriol from everyday fans towards Dan Bellino. And I was really taken aback by it. Our videos this week did over 250,000 views on YouTube, Gil, as you know, and a lot of that was in part to what we had with Josh Donaldson. And I get the pleasure every morning of waking up, since I'm on the East Coast, of going through the YouTube comments. What a cesspool. There are people out there, maybe it's troll farms, what have you. I don't know if our website would be a place that you'd be spilling propaganda, but I was extremely disappointed in our culture this week. We got to do better. We got to have empathy. Guys make mistakes. Doesn't matter who you are. You make a mistake, you're not, short of a crime that is a capital punishment that sentences you to life in prison. If you make a mistake on a ball and strike, let it go. It happens. I've been a proponent of the challenge system for years. I've gotten MLB umpires upset with me because I say that there should be a challenge system so we can keep the umpires whole, but we can also, for that pitch where the catcher slides in front, or maybe there's a cross-up, we can get it right, or maybe we just don't track it well. We can get it right, just like we do for replay. But the idea of blowing up the whole system, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and doing what the Atlantic League did, which was a disaster. It was an unmitigated disaster. Don't let anybody lie to you, okay? There are people in that league, they've been, hey, Tim, I can't say it publicly, but please, just go out and tell everybody how bad it is. But I can't say it publicly. And then they go out and write in an article, they're quoted saying how great it is. I can't believe it. I can't believe some of these people.
At the end of the day, under the zone of Val system, and the numbers, remember, the numbers are public. MLB, in a very backdoor, don't look at this behind the curtain way, but it is public. The numbers for balls and strikes are out there. You just have to have the technical know-how to actually do anything with it. Bellino scored over 97% under the ZE system for that game. So that per the.
And what did he do? What did he do with a 1-inch margin of error?
He was around 95.
So they threw out. So 97, the score was through for catcher's influence, right? For pitches that, and look, you throw out a couple of them, and they change your score remarkably. But let me just tell you right now that when you see these dopes that the catcher standing up because he thinks it's a breaking ball, and the ball's caught knee high, and the umpire's literally behind the back of a guy and can't see. And you got morons going online saying, "Oh, we need to replace the umpire with robots." Like, come on, these are trolls. We get them all the time. I have to be responsible trying to delete them all in the mornings. So you guys, when you watch the videos, aren't inundated with stupidity. But these are trolls that go on and they try to agitate. It's everywhere. I don't know, I don't know what excites people about doing this. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's the pandemic has just, completely warped people's brains. But look, we live in a world that you need to be punished for what he did. And if he's not, and I'm not talking $50, sit him down for a week and he'll think about not doing it again. And that's it. I don't want to spend any more time talking about this moron. He's a dope. He's a spoiled brat. He's a jerk. And we should talk about the great plays, the umpiring, which is an all-time great high this week. I mean, I had so many plays to look at, Gil, this week. I could have made 30 plays on this show, and we narrowed it down to 5. Can we forget this dope that I'm not going to mention his name anymore?
Of course. And speaking of the pandemic, because you brought it up,
God.
Yeah, well, no, real quick. We had a COVID situation report, and this everything ties together, right? We're talking about how people are the troll farms, how people go in halfway to just go in to criticize or go in to do the minimum amount of research possible and then forget about the story afterwards. Well, we don't forget about stories. So when the AP comes out and says that an umpire tested positive for COVID, we're going to go ahead and look into that story. So that's exactly what we did. We looked into the story and we found out that per everything that we do on our research, which is a lot of looking at crews, looking at placements, where people are, the days, how many people work, what the normal patterns are, we surmised based on all evidence available to us, none of which was internal, just based on public-facing data, that it would appear that there was a false positive test. I don't think you're going to hear that reported anywhere else but here. But based on all the data, I'm making a hypothesis based on my scientific method that was a false positive test that no one followed up to tell anyone on. Okay, fine. They got it wrong, because had it been more significant than that, you would have actually seen Joe West's crew been removed from service for a full week at least. They weren't. They were off for a few days, and then they were right back where they started on the field. Probably, in my opinion, it was a false positive.
I want to talk about Joe West for a second, and I can't confirm that was the crew that was taken off for COVID, Gil. But, I want to talk about Joe and what he's done the last 2 weekends. How about Joe West works first base on Thursday, 2 weekends ago, the plate for 7 innings on Friday, third base on Saturday, the plate on Sunday. Now, he took a few days off, but then the series the following weekend, this past weekend, he works the plate on Friday, a base job on Saturday, and a plate on Sunday. That's, by the way, if you're keeping score at home, that's 2 plates in 3 days. Now, granted, they're 7-inning games, but you have guys that complain. I mean, I've worked with guys in 3-man said, "Oh, I can't believe I have to work the plate after 1 day off." Joe does it, and he don't care. You talked, Gil, last week about Joe doesn't care what you think. But I think it's kind of cool that, as what you said, to piggyback what we said last week, that he might not care what you and I think, but he's always going to do what's right for the crew and what's right by the league. The bottom line is still that the managers, the veteran guys want Joe West behind the plate. He manages the game. He controls the game. And that's who they want back there, not a guy that can be manipulated by yelling. And there are still guys that, you yell, especially young guys, they might get rattled. It happens to everybody, especially in the pressure of that spot that you're not used to. They want Joe West back there, and why wouldn't you? The last plate that he worked, Gil, 1 missed pitch by half an inch. The guy can bring it when you give him the chance. I don't know that he's going to get the opportunity, but I want to see Joe West as the crew chief in the World Series. It's a long shot, probably a 0%, but, let this guy go out the way he deserves, which is he should be crew chief for the World Series.
Well,
that's it.
Yeah, no, Joe's in baseball fandom at large, Joe's a very polarizing figure. But he's the guy who you want behind the plate. Did you catch that backhanded compliment to Baldelli after the he who shall not be named ejection? Baldelli did a post game and he said, yeah, I had a private chat with him because after all, you don't get ejected and then cost your team the opportunity to win the game, which they lost because there was a ball hit to that position that had been vacated because the guy was ejected, and that led to a run scoring. But nonetheless, did you catch that backhanded compliment that Baldelli gave Angel Hernandez's crew?
I thought he said that Angel ran a good crew.
He said Angel ran a great crew, yeah. He said, when there are good umpires, because someone asked him, do you feel carryover, is there going to be a negative consequence with these umpires because they're working your next series? And he says, you know what, with good umpires, with a good crew, it's all water under. You move on. It's going to be professional. It's all of these great things. And he was talking about Angel's crew. He was talking about Danny Bellino. So backhanded. I mean,
that's backhanded. That's backhanded.
I mean, I suppose camouflage.
Yeah, let's take compliments where they come. He said a nice thing about Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Just because the 5 or 8% of people that are, let's just say it, they might not like people of color that come on our website. I see it every day. I see the comments. They're there. I screenshot them. They are horrible. Okay? So maybe that people that create 6, 7 YouTube accounts, maybe they're not as many as everybody thinks there are. Maybe the 38 people that have one account, or one person that's 38 accounts on Twitter that goes out and says all these bad things. These things that keep popping up that you read about all the time. I can barely do one YouTube page that is such a small drop in the ocean when it comes to anything. I can't imagine what it's like for these people that get 2-3 million views a day to keep up with the insanity. Speaking of insanity, Gil, I'd like to say one last thing before we get to our great plays this week. I try to keep this site small. I don't want to be noticed. It took me 11 years to put my face on camera, right? Something like that. We got in The Athletic. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, we did. Athletic contacted me, reached out, and wanted to write a story. And Bob Davidson's the cover athlete for this story, so it tells you exactly the type of story it is. It's about officiating. It's about umpiring. It's about our little oasis here at closecallsports.com. And if you want to read it, it's over at theathletic.com. It's actually on the front page of their MLB section. There's references to Dale Scott is in there a little bit. Jimmy Joyce is talked about. They acknowledge that the computer strike zone, hey, the computer strike zone, there might be problems with it. So theathletic.com. And if you, I can't say anything about the subscription-based model, but there are PDF versions available.
Yeah, we hope that, I think it's $1, I think it's $1, but I'm sure somebody will.
7-day free trial.
7 day for crying out loud, if you can get the 7-day free trial, we're not going to, look, we've had dozens and dozens of requests. We're not going to sit here and send out emails of it's free. You just log up. I wish I knew how to do it, but well, that's what happens when you don't carry the purse strings, folks. Let's get to the plays. And they are some good ones this week. And as always, we're going to run these as teachables. And this is a Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game, top of the first inning. It's a 1-0 count, 2 outs. You can see there are some cardboard cutouts that just don't want to see the Reds play this year. We get a base hit down the third base line. It's one you don't need to chase because there's no fans in the stands. Probably don't need to chase either way, but we get a play at second base, and we get a runner that is all over the place there at coming home slowly. I think that's DJ making an out call, trying to get the best look possible. Laz with his mask on is looking like he's going to call a pitch on a intentional walk, but what he's trying to see now. He paused right. Great job, Gil. Pause it right there. So this is what I talk about, where try to give a point on a tag, because look at what Laz has to look through: a catcher, a runner, a pitcher, a second baseman potentially, and umpires on the other side. So at least we get DJ don't have to look through, and a runner. So when this plays out, Laz has to try to guess when the tag occurs. But that's not the only reason I'm showing this play, because this is going to be such a whacker that it's either stands. I want to get, so we'll let it play out here, Gil. There's just no way. There's just no way of seeing what happens there. You know, we just get an out call. Laz waves it off. Now you're trying to guess when the tag occurs. You're not going by DJ's signal, right? Clearly, he scored before the signal, but now Laz has no recourse but to wave it off because he thinks the tag occurred, because he has to guess. And this is one that it's great for replay. Unfortunately, there are no angles that really helped on this play, but I want you to pause it right here. So understand that a safe call is this, and no run is over your head. I'm not sure if I'm on the video right now, but no run is over your head. This is safe. When you do anything like this, people get confused. For crying out loud, this is Angel Hernandez's safe call, right? And there are a few other guys in the league that call like this, including Bill Miller does a lot of that, right? So wave it off like this. And I think if Laz were to see this, he'd go, yeah, I just wasn't thinking, because he does, you are out still. And then he points to the plate and does this, and you watch the Pirate dugout. Watch the that looks like a safe mechanic to you. Watch the Pirate dugout. They think they just scored a run. They're like, yeah, baby, this is great. You see that guy? He's pounding the – and now Les has to explain that the run – so let me just – this is just a signaling situation, and this gets me. And now he does it here. Laz is smart. He waves it off. But for that few seconds, very awkward. This happened last year in a game too, where we had synchronized umpiring between – Todd Tishner and Tom Hallion, where they were both kind of waving it like this. If you remember that teachable last year, just be careful with your signals. Be crisp. You've got plenty of time to practice them. See a lot of guys reach for the ball. They're throwing it and they reach it and call time. I've seen that a bunch. You know, time. Get a baseball. You know, you saw the Mike Esterbrook ejection this week. He threw the baseball to the mound and did the ejection hook in the same mechanic. That's kind of our mentality. We're not going to, we're going to want to have two separate mechanics. We're not going to want to have the ball in our hand with the ejection, because Steve Soma said that ball might get fired into the dugout, especially the way Esty throws, with that ejection. Finally, I just want to say that, again, we point this stuff out to show you guys of how to make signals, okay? I can sit here and do this all I want, and you guys will be like, okay, whatever. But when you see it and you see it messed up and you realize that if that's your game, and look, we know you don't have replay, but let's say you do this in a 2-2 game in the 6th inning, or your under 16 game next weekend in the fall. Everybody's going to think you called safe. They're not going to realize that that's the signal. So make sure you get your signals right, because it can stop an avoidable confrontation. And that's it.
And then at the end, they're going to get mad that you, quote, reversed your call because you suddenly.
Yeah, that's a great point, Gil. They're going to think that you weren't sure.
And then the other one is the slide rule. They added a mechanic at the MLB level, and I don't know if it's formally adopted at the lower levels. It's this one hand, not the two, but it's the one-handed.
Yeah, that's a legal motion. It's a 5-yard penalty, and we're gonna take the yards.
Exactly.
Tee it up for me, baby. So this takes us to Oakland in the bottom of the 6th inning. Got an interesting play here. This is Corey Blazer, and I want you to look at this play, and I talk about plays at second line. Reverse it just a second there, Gil, for me. I talk about these plays a lot. Just reverse it till the ball is being released by the second baseman. Or actually, I think this is Belt that throws it. Just pause it right there. I want you to understand one thing about this play as it's happening, okay? I don't know if this is going to be a foot race right now, or if the pitcher's going to get there in time. But I know that I don't care where the ball is coming from. Brandon Belt is not going to throw the ball 60 feet and be off by 25 feet. Okay, do we understand that? He's not going to hit me with this throw. He's a professional baseball player. If he hits me with this throw, he's going to send me a 6-pack of beer after the game. I'm going to guarantee you, okay? So keep running out for a second here. Now you see Blazer starting to get his scissors set. And that puts him in position with a left-handed pitcher. Pause it right there. Now, if this turns into a tag play, which in all likelihood it won't because the glove's to the outside, it's on the outfield side. If it was a righty pitcher, this would be different, but this is a lefty pitcher. So he's going to reach to catch the ball. We're not going to have to worry about a tag. What we're going to have to worry about is hearing the sound of the glove, and if it's a foot race, who gets there first. This turns out this play develops very quickly, and it's not a foot race. Because if we're just focused, pause it right there. If we're just focused on whose foot wins, what do we have right here, Gil? We have an out. And we see this all the time. I see this happen at least about once every 2 weeks where we get this play and the umpire's not set and ready to go. This is a great job by Corey Blazier. He is just fantastic on this. Now, as it plays out, you'll see that the runner beats the play to first base. And that's why Blazer's going to have a safe call. He's on a knee. He's completely set. He's completely focused. This is the play that your head cannot be moving on. These force plays where there's multiple elements and multiple limbs, your head needs to be still, and it needs to be still in a hurry. Don't worry about that throw from second base or that second base area watching the release of the ball. Do not worry about it. If you're 30 feet from the base on this level, and even look, let's be honest, in a 14U game, is the second baseman or first baseman in the spot going to miss his target by 25 feet from 60? I certainly hope not. Maybe in the outfield they might, but not here. Get your head to the base. Get still. This goes to replay. It's going to be confirmed on replay. This is a really good call by Corey. But the key is stillness of your head, and not only your head stillness, but getting your whole body set. Don't be one of those guys, and I'm guilty of this too, if you get in a scissor set, but as the play's coming down on the force, you start to get into the scissors, and you're still moving. You want to get set and still. And if you have to do that hands on knees, you do it that way. If you have to do it in a firm scissors, you do it that way. If you want to take it in a soft scissors and then get down in a knee, do it that way. But whatever, when that play occurs, you're going to want to have your head still for more than a split second. If you're doing this, watching the ball, well, you're going to have a hat on, so your head's not. If you're going to be spinning your head, you're going to be all over the place. When the play comes, it's going to be a total guess. You might get it wrong. You might get it right. But the key to that is you're going to get it wrong badly sometimes. There's going to be a step or two past the base, and you're going to be coming up with an out call. This is why this play by Corey Blazier, not even close to being the top play of the week. But let's be honest. Great call. He makes a very difficult situation look easy. Good on you, Corey Blazier.
Let's move on to the next one. You know, these stadiums without any fans in them, some of them have the cardboard cutouts, but I like the old school way, the old Chicago Cubs way of doing things. No cardboard, old school baseball. If there are no fans, let's not jazz it up.
And on this play, we're in the top of the third inning. It's a 2-1 game, Cleveland and Chicago. This is a tag up. Hayward gets the ball. We have a play at the plate, and third base umpire's in good position to see the tag up. And we've got Mike Estabrook. Pause it right there. So we want to take this play and keep working the play. This is my new theme. So how are we going to get to the keyhole here? We're not going to do it, Gil. We're not going to do it from behind home plate, right? We're not going to do it from the third base coach's box. We're not going to do it from the batter's box. What Estabrook does here is he sees the play develop, and he's continuously working the play to where he might be half a step out of position here, but he continues to use his brain and work through the play. And I've had this play teed up for a few days now. I've been talking about Mike Estabrook on the site. He's had a really good year off the radar. You got to give a lot of credit to Mark Carlson. Whatever was working, that this team that they have is working this year. And Estabrook with a great call here. This is the kind of call, Gil, that if you're not in position, it's wrong. And it looked like Lindor didn't argue, but it looked on the first view, Gil, like there was no tag. But when you watch the replay, you'll clearly see a tag. And the only reason you can see that right there, you'll see the glove kind of take. See the glove kind of take there for that split second? That glove is not being moved by air. It's being moved by the body of Lindor. So it's hard to see on this angle. In this angle, it just looks like a swipe and a miss. But look at Estabrook working the play. His feet aren't in concrete. He's working the play. Keeps working to improve his angle, sees the tag, and gets the call right. This is the kind of play that certain guys miss. And if you do, it's a bad miss in my opinion, because you're not working the play to its conclusion. Mike Estabrook has really stepped up this year, and I've been really impressed with his umpiring.
Yeah, that was it. It's a great play. It's a great thing to be able to see someone do. Again, it's all about getting the angles, adjusting on the fly. That's what we had here, and that's really a lot of what these tough calls are, especially tags and swipes and things of that nature, is
I just
adjusting
want
and looking
Yeah, I
for
just want to say
damage.
one more thing about that play before we get to the next one. So you're
Sure.
going to hang out with the catcher. You don't have to move. You just hang out with the catcher, and then he's going to take you where you need to be. Even if the ball's not there yet, you don't need to be in front of home plate. So right now, this is when you're still trying to figure out when the play is going to develop. And look, could something happen bizarrely? Could the catcher drop back? Yeah, absolutely. But that's why if there's some kind of collision, you have to hold your ground a little bit. You have to somewhat play percentages, but you can't be stuck looking at the back of a catcher if for some reason the catcher drops down. You're going to have to drop down with them. So this play is a lot harder than it looks, and Estabrook makes it look easy. Now on to that play that we teased there a second ago. And I can't even wait. I got a player of the year coming up, Gil. I got a player of the year. This isn't it. This is Miami. It's the bottom of the sixth inning. Joe West is not working the plate. It's amazing. Got a house in the stadium, I think. It's another fly ball. This one's to right center. And somewhere, is that Mike Rizzo I hear? No. I just must be. So this play breaks down, right? So pause it right here. This play completely breaks down, but I want to show you how this play works. So we got runners on second and third right now. So you see the second base umpire? He's kind of hanging out behind second. Joe West is at third base in the screen. That's where Joe's supposed to be. I mean, Joe's always where he's supposed to be. It's unbelievable. The guy's 67. And if this play turns into a rundown, Joe's right where he needs to be. So this play was an overthrow from the right fielder. Bad baseball. I mean, maybe we should ban that guy forever from baseball because he made an error. Oops. And we have Junior Valentine at the plate to kind of see what happens here. And he's going to be in great position. And eventually this tag will occur. Or will it? You can kind of see it's another one where the glove just kind of moves. And it's an out call. Not my favorite mechanic, but when the play kind of happens like that, you kind of got to wing it. And now I want you to look at this. See this right here. This is what you should be doing. This is Junior Valentine just standing there. Everybody, oh, he's just standing there. Well, that's kind of what you're doing. Now when the play starts to come, oh, my goodness, this guy's coming. I better get here. I'm playing my percentages. I think this is going to be a front hip tag on the runner. I hope I'm right here. Is he going to slide head first or feet first? Those are all the things that you're trying to consider as an umpire. And the glove moves right there. The call is right. Junior's looking right at it. But one thing we got to do here, let it play out for just a second. One thing we got to do is we got to find the baseball. We got to come back and find the baseball because I have no idea if that ball's in his glove right now. I've never looked for it. So as we do this, I got my tag. This is a great call on a tag. It's a very subtle tag, but we can see it because we're in great position. And that's what the minor league system has done for these call-up guys. They've put these guys in positions to succeed, and that's why most of them are doing so well. There's a slight tag there on the foot. It's hard to see from that angle. And right here, pause it. This is where I don't need an out call. I want to find that baseball. Okay? I want to take my eyes and make sure that Gomes isn't playing a game with me, that he's got the ball in his glove, that it's not in his bare hand. I want to find it. Now, this is a right call. However, we want to keep focus on proper use of eyes and make sure that we get our eyes back to the ball. It's subtle, but it's something we need to do going forward. But otherwise, I can't begin to tell you how great a call this is. There are guys that would be caught unaware, or as some people would say, like Andy Sipowicz, unawares. And if you're caught unawares here, you're behind the point of home plate making that call. And it's an out call. That stood on replay, which I didn't understand because the glove moved. It didn't move by accident. Not like midair, the catcher was like, oh, I'm just going to move the glove like that. But maybe they are like the basketball players. They fake getting hit now, Gil. It's hard when you broadcast the games. You see the jump shot, that's not how but then he moves and then you watch the replay and it's a fake out. I think Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors does that pretty well, right? They fake and it's hard to pick up. Why am I talking about basketball? It's a baseball show. It's an umpiring show. Sorry.
You learn a lot from basketball. Some of the fake outs that some of the players do. You learn how to read players because let's be frank. In basketball, you have so many more plays that happen back to back to back to back. So if you do want to learn how to officiate and learn how to read people, and make those calls that are, so fast. Because compared to basketball, baseball is a really slow sport. So in basketball, you just are able to get that repetition in. And a lot of the MLB guys have, I forgot, was it Wally Bell? Was it, there were some guys who spent the offseason doing basketball. There was O'Donnell way back when that did both AL.
Mike Riley.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah,
he coached.
Yeah, remember that. Remember Gary Darling used to work with Bill Spooner, and then Bill Spooner transitioned over to be an NBA referee. So there's a lot of crossover between those two sports, because officiating is all about reading players and reading plays and getting angles, and it doesn't really change. The rules are different, the uniform's different, but the basic ideas are pretty similar.
Is this thing on? I'm going to give out a big secret right now. Everybody's upstairs. I can say this. Umpiring and officiating is about communication. And if you're a good communicator, you can officiate in any sport. There, the secret's out. That's the secret. And if you can communicate and talk to people, you can officiate, and you can officiate with ease. If you can't, then you won't. If you can't communicate and your sport preference is baseball, well, there's a reason that you're having problems. So you have to communicate, especially in this day and age, where everybody's unhinged if you look at them the wrong way. Let's move on to the next play. And this is Colorado and LA. So this is our play of the year. I'm just calling it the play of the year. This is Max Muncy at the plate, and he's not getting thrown out here. It's just a wild pitch, and it hits that T-Mobile sign, and the catcher picks it up, and we have chaos. Pause it right here. So we can't go – whenever the ball goes slightly to the right, and we're going to have a play at the plate as an umpire, we can't get in that keyhole because the throw is usually going to go to the pitcher, and the pitcher's going to tag on field side, and we're going to be looking through a runner. It's not a perfect situation. This just is the best we can do on this play. Now, little did we know the catcher was going to kind of stand there for like a second and a half. And the catcher just kind of like, look where the runner is. The catcher's like, I'm going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it. I'm going to – and understand, too, where Quinn's head is. He's on the plate. He's not looking – he knows where the ball is in the catcher's hand. But he's on the plate. He's focused on that edge. And when you're focused on something, it's amazing what can happen. Let's let it play out the first time so everybody at home can see what happens, and then we'll break it down. Okay, did anybody catch what happened here? Quinn Wolcott did. He's going to call safe, and notice his mechanics here. He's going to point to the pitcher. And why would he point to the pitcher and then award the runner home? He says safe, points to the pitcher, and awards the runner home. Now, we can't read his lips. And, of course, this will never be on any of the other websites because it's great umpiring. I mean, God forbid we put great umpiring on John Boy. But here we go, fellas. This is it. This is what we call brilliance from Quinn Wolcott. It's obstruction by the pitcher, preventing him from getting to home plate. The tag occurs from the catcher before the runner tags home. You'll get it from this angle. Look at the pitcher. This is a great way to obstruct. Step on his hand. He's not going to touch home plate that way. Then we get, eventually you'll see here, a tag, and he probably hasn't touched the plate yet, or maybe he has, but it doesn't matter because I've already got obstruction, says Quinn Wolcott. And this is, I can't tell you how good, I mean, Gil, this is world class. If this was golf, this would be Bryson DeChambeau this past week. I mean, this is world class at his best. And that's why number 81, Quinn Wolcott, congratulations. You have won This Week in Umpiring's Call of the Week.
I think he touched the plate.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think
but
it's definitely obstruction. Remember, obstruction type A. This happened with remember the penalty for obstruction A. The one thing that and this is what Dana DeMuth also said during the World Series obstruction, even though that was obstruction B. The one thing he says that there's a mechanic call time, but if you're going to err on whether or not to actually call time, don't call time, because once rung, the bell is very hard to unring. So that's absolutely fine. But remember, just on that obstruction A, make sure that at least after the fact, that you are going to retroactively impose a timeout call.
I don't know how the voice went. I mean, he might have said, "No, that's obstruction" right off the bat. Like,
Yeah.
when you're focused on, I mean, we just talked about this, talk about it all the time. When you're right there and you're looking at something, and there's that much, I think we talked to John Ottavino about this, and it looks to you like he's out by 10 feet, but you know for certain that's how good you feel. And I'm sure when Quinn had that play, and I'm sure he felt real good about it. And one of the problems about being over there is it might have been hard for him to see whether the runner had touched home plate or not. So just to be sure, so you don't get dinged by replay and say, oh, no, he's safe anyway, I've got obstruction. He's going to score because the pitcher obstructed the runner, and he would have scored had the obstruction not occurred. Just understand another thing. Say it right. When that manager comes out to talk to you, don't be like, I had obstruction, I scored him. Well, that's not the rule. So make sure you get that word for word rulebook terminology to keep you out of trouble. Well, this was a jam-packed week this week, Gil, of plays and all sorts of fun stuff. Is that just about take us home?
Yeah, that takes us home. I've had so many plays where you know exactly what the rules are. We've been over this many times. There are so many of these plays that you do your preseason rules exams in classrooms, and you talk to, whether it's high school or college or whatever it is, your rules quiz even at the pro level, and you think these are such convoluted plays. Why are we even doing that? Why do I have to do a 200, 300 question test, a classification? These are so convoluted. And then you go to the season and those exact things happen. You think this is never going to happen. And then 5 weeks later, it happens. And you're like, oh, I just did that in a rules quiz. So I know exactly what I'm doing. And everyone's losing their mind. The teams don't know what's going on. Even the team that benefits has no idea what's up. And you as the official, yeah, I got this. You're under control. That's exactly the purpose of education. That's exactly the purpose of trying to teach the rules, and exactly what we do here as well.
Just to close up shop here, I'll tell you this quick story. I was working, and I forget what year it was, working at one of those horrible complexes that gouge the officials and charge a ton of money for the teams to come in. I was doing some winter games just to work, because I love umpiring. And it was probably like a U12 game, right? One umpire in a dome. And it's a tie game in the last inning, of time limit. So it was probably like the fourth inning of the 145, no new inning after. And runner on third base, there's a wild pitch, and the kid on a strikeout. And it would have been the end of the game. And the kid comes home to score, and the kid doesn't run to first base. And there's a play at the plate, and I go, safe. And I'm waiting. The kid's standing over here. He's jumping up and down. Yeah, we won. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And I'm waiting. And it seemed like 5 minutes later, but sure enough, one of the fans said, throw it to first base. I'm like, okay. Yeah, we're out. Now we're done. See you later. So you do those games where the kid didn't know it was strike three or whatever it was. You do those games to get better. You do those games, have fun, get better, and maybe communicate with coaches and kids that, okay, there's a way to talk to people. And that's what spreads the seeds and if you water the flowers, they're going to grow. And if we keep being positive and go the extra mile and mentor not only umpires, but also maybe do a few youth games here or there, give back, be happy to be there. We can do our small part to make umpiring just a little bit better.
And remember, as Timmy said, you're learning game management, dealing with people. And the one thing that I wanted to, and it didn't necessarily come across as compassionate during the Donaldson analysis video, because that was more academic in nature with actual terminology and psychological frameworks. But the one thing that I did want to sort of double on is that people are dealing with stuff that you do not know what they're dealing with. And so they might bring things to the table. I read the YouTube comments and people people honed in on the line where I said, where I talked about family dynamics, likely father, because it's signs of likely issues with the family. But the entire point is that people are dealing with that sort of thing. A lot of people. And they're coming onto the field, they're coming onto the court, and you are, as an official, are going to be dealing with those people and understanding where they're coming from, that they're not targeting at you personally, but there is an actual something behind the scenes that is going on that is influencing them. Does it lend itself to you giving more credence or more leniency for that player to spontaneously react because they don't know what they're doing, or they're reacting to subconscious motivation? Or, it puts you in the mindset where you are able to think a step further, and you're able to actually try to understand what is happening, so that if it is a situation that is salvageable, that you can calm down, that is just a simple discussion, a back and forth, usually manager coach type of a situation. You have that ability in your toolbox. Oh, they're speaking to something that's much larger than this. How do I help them bring it back to the moment, being present at the topic at hand, the play at hand, etc., as opposed to exacerbating whatever they're talking about to make them feel defensive and targeted. In the Donaldson situation, obviously, when he kicks dirt on home plate, that's one thing. Then he decides to go back to make sure that Bellino got the message. And obviously, at that point, that's actions intended to ridicule, which is one of the standards for removal from the game. It's an automatic ejection, pretty easy, it's straightforward. That's one thing. But if it's just a conversation you're having with a coach or a manager or even a player or a captain, that's quite another. You can bring them back into the framework, into the mindset that they need to be for playing a sports game. Because at the end of the day, we can't deal with the off the field stuff as much, but we can try to change and try to shape where everything is going. The interaction is, at least as far as trying to get this game going and trying to put things in a healthy perspective so that we can move on and actually try to accomplish the goals of playing the sport.
Look, I'm just going to say one last thing. If you out there don't think you can make a difference, Gillenberg started this site like 15 years ago. I think it was him in his basement with 3 other people. No?
West Coast, we do not have basements.
Oh, fair enough. Well, maybe the attic then. And we just got an article written about us in The Athletic because we're reasoned, we're responsible, we care about baseball, and we care about umpiring. You can do the same thing. You're part, if you're watching this right now at the end of the 40 minutes that we've talked, you're part of this community. You're part of that article. You're part of what we do. And thank you. Thank you for helping us make this a really cool place to be. And on that note, I'd like to thank my broadcast colleague, Gil Ember, and all the people that have joined us this week on closecallsports.com, on Twitter at Umpire Ejections, on Facebook at Umpire Ejections, on Anchor at Plate Meeting Podcast, and I'm forgetting one. Oh, yes, the YouTube section where we are probably going to pass, like another million in, a couple of days or something. But on that note, on behalf of everybody here, thank you for joining us. Until next time, always do what's right, not what's easy. Happy umpiring, everyone.